Amanda, thanks so much for coming all the way to Shelby, Mississippi to hang with us for tea time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I am so excited to talk to you about what your project in your school and what's great and going well and what's not going well, if anything, but I hope all is going well. But I'm just so excited to just hear about Clarksdale Collegiate and what you're doing with your project. We typically had a theme going on with the tea time conversations. We've had John Howard talking about the responsibility of the community and parents to education. We're thinking about what's the T for you. I would love to hear about what's the T for Amanda Johnson and Clarksdale Collegiate.
So with Clarksdale Collegiate, I hope that anytime when someone walks in our building or sees the work that our scholars are doing or that our teachers are doing, I hope that they will always see high quality.
Hey,
that is our
quality. I love it. So you guys just finished up the beginning of what we would call the beginning of school, right?
Sure.
So how's everything coming? Because you are let me clarify, make sure I'm right, but you're the first public charter school in the Mississippi Delta.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
That's correct. So we're the first charter school authorized outside of Jackson, Mississippi, in the state. And so we're very excited to be here and to be operating within the Mississippi Delta with scholars who deserve the absolute best. And so startup has been fun. It's been challenging, but overall a success.
Wonderful. So what grades? Tell us about your scholars.
Okay. Sure. So Clarksdale Collegiate Public Charter School is a it was authorized to be a K through 8 school. So we started with kindergarten, first and second grade. Many of the highest quality charter schools across the country start small and then they add as they grow. They add a grade each year. And so we have started with kindergarten through second grade, 150 students, and will ultimately grow to be a kindergarten through 8th grade school with about 675 students. And so that's how we will grow slowly to ensure that we start off strong, and then as we add students, we're just building on the growth of the quality that we've created. And so we're a public school. We accept all students, and so we're just operate outside of the local district. And so we are a school in and of ourselves. And so we are able to do some things like extend the school day. So we have a slightly extended day, a slightly extended year. So most schools are in session for 180 days. We go for 185 days. In fact, we started a little bit early. A lot of folks are asking, why are they starting so early? I just say because we have a lot to do. We want to make sure our scholars are getting ready to go to and through college. And so we're able to do a few things like that in order to ensure that we are providing the absolute best for our scholars.
Great. So how many teachers or classrooms, or tell us a little bit about like the setup, the structure?
Sure. So we have 6 self-contained classrooms. So 2 kindergarten classes, 2 first grade, and 2 second grade classrooms. We have a librarian and a gifted teacher. That's one and the same. And then we have a special education teacher, and we have 6 homeroom teachers and 4 paraprofessionals.
You know, I want to know what made you want to do this, because that just seems like a big charge and people ask me all the time, like, why are you doing this work with Rise? This is a big job, and what would make you want to take that burden on? But I want to know what motivated you.
Sure, it's a lot. I would say a lot of it's personal, right? So I absolutely love the Delta.
Yeah.
I have been in Clarksdale for about 8 years now, and have been in the Delta region since I graduated college, so since 2003. So I've been here for a while, have made it my home, raising 2 girls here, met my husband here, and so I love it. It's home and wanted to stay here. And for me, the biggest thing that needed to to happen for me and my family, for me to stay here, was having a high quality public school option for my girls. And so it's pretty personal. I know some of us have the means to leave if we wanted to in order to find something, and I just feel like we shouldn't have to. And I feel like there's a lot in our community, a lot of individuals in our community who don't have that option, and they shouldn't have to leave. They shouldn't have to pay, or they shouldn't have to move in order to find the type of school that they want for their child. So that's really my motivation, and I'm excited to be a part of the solution. I don't think that charter schools are the solution, but I do think that Clarksdale Collegiate can be part of the solution, part of what provides high quality and greatness for our scholars here.
Yeah. So like when you say, I know you were speaking about. So you're not saying that the other schools here aren't providing quality education. You are saying that you are offering different options that may not be available to those schools or those students. So like what though? I'm really curious as to what you guys are doing.
Right. So I would say, yes, I will just say that we are making sure that we are providing a great option, and we know that others are working really hard within other schools to provide options for their students. And so for us, one of the things that we're really excited about is we believe that high quality instruction and the path to college begins early. You don't wait until you're in high school in order to start thinking about, well, am I ready for college, career, and what comes next? So we start that conversation really early. So some things you'll notice, we really have a college going culture. So you'll notice on the back of our uniform shirt.
I was about to say that. I saw some photos. I thought that was so cute. And so what's the slogan that they have for in case
So on the back, so we just say we're college bound. So our scholars are college bound, and we talk about that from kindergarten all the way up. And so on the back of the uniform shirts, it says I am college bound. On the back of our buses, when you're driving past or when you're driving behind a Clarksdale Collegiate bus, you'll see college bound on the back. That's where our kids are headed. And so you will see that the homeroom classes are named after colleges, just to give kids an opportunity just to learn about different schools and get excited about some of the options that are out there. And so the type of culture that we're trying to create is one where kids know that we expect greatness from them, and we are supporting them in getting there. And we talk about what does it mean for a kindergartner to be college ready. There are grade level standards, and so we talk about, okay, what do our kindergartners need to be in order to say they are on track? Where do our first graders need to be? Where do our second graders need to be to say they are on track towards a college education and college success? And so we do talk about that with our scholars, with our families, with everybody who walks through the door. We talk about what it takes in order to make sure our kids have those options.
And that's what I was about to ask. So what's the role of parents in this whole process, or the role of the community? So if someone wanted to help or wanted to be a part of what you guys have going on, like I want to know, what do I tell them, or what?
So we definitely want to embrace our families, our parents, our guardians, every member of the family as a partner. So one thing that we do is we have the Clarksdale Collegiate Covenant. Basically, we believe that it takes everybody working together in order to make sure that each and every scholar has exactly what they need in order to be college ready. And so there are expectations of the school, so we take a part in that. Obviously, we have a role and we have a responsibility. Each scholar has a role and responsibility. They play a part, but then we also talk about what the family does and the family, their role. And so some of the things are really basic, like make sure your child is at school, make sure they're on time, make sure they're in uniform, make sure they have their homework. Those are the 4 things that we ask of every single day. But we also ask other things, just do what it takes in order to support your child. And sometimes that means allowing them to stay after school to get interventions. Sometimes that means coming up to the school and learning some of the things that we're doing at the school so that they can support at home. And so it looks different for every child, but we do embrace our families.
And I think that's key.
As partners.
You know, really looking different for every child. So I thought about this while you were talking about college bound. So are there particular colleges or with like STEM or schools that are technical, or are there any boundaries or any directions that we're kind of leaning towards?
Every child is different, and so what success looks like for each child might look a little bit different. And so we want to make sure that we don't steer them towards one certain college or one certain career, we want to think about what's best for them and what matches what they need. And so every child is different. And so obviously at the elementary age, it's pretty premature to talk about which colleges, but so we want to expose them to a lot of different things and just get in their mindset that they can achieve greatness, and just have them exposed to a lot of different things. But as they get older, we'll be able to talk about, okay, based on what you've done in school, based on what your passion is, here might be a couple of options that would be great for you, based on your financial situation, based on family situations. There might be some better options, some that are better than others. And so making sure that we are really not limiting our kids. It's just hard when you're in kindergarten and first grade. The sky's the limit, and so I get sad when people talk about somebody being college material at 5 or 6 years old. And it's like, wait, what? We're limiting kids? No, we can prepare all of our kids to be great. And so obviously it'll depend when they get into high school about what makes the best sense for them. But right now the sky's the limit, and we want to make sure that we are preparing our scholars for a life filled with options, so that they can choose what they want and what's best for them.
So with RISE, we talk a lot about the root causes, like why do we have the problems in education that we would like to change, or the things that we want to enhance, and what's working or what's not working. But let's get to the root causes of it. And so one of those that we talk a lot about is the brain drain, and how we have so many of our talented youth that they've already decided in elementary school and high school for sure of how they're ready to get out, like it's time to go. So are you all kind of thinking about that as a problem or issue that you're trying to confront, or are we saying, hey, if the sky's the limit, leave? So like, what role does the Delta, like how does the Delta play in it?
I mean, that's a hard one, right?
That is
you want kids to be able to decide.
Right.
You don't want to put any limits on what they want and what they want to do. But I hope that through what we do at the school, that kids will get to know a lot about their community and take pride in their community. And so we talk about exploring Clarksdale and Oklahoma County just as much as we talk about, trying to take trips outside of town. Like, we want to know, what's great about our community and explore that. There's so much that we can, that our kids can learn about from our community.
Yeah,
when I think about all of the curricular connections that we have right here in town, and in some of the Delta communities, there's so much that we can just utilize, and so many resources that are here. People, places, just historical events. There's quite a few things. And so I do hope that people take pride, our scholars will take pride in where they're from and be proud of the Delta and the rich part that the Delta plays in Mississippi and in the South and in the country. And so we do hope to expose our kids to that, and that they'll feel a draw back to this area. I'm hoping a lot of them will come back and teach and take over. Maybe I can go retire and have one of the scholars take over. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard because I do want kids to have their to have options.
It should be a balance,
Sure.
right. Like, if we could build a community full of individuals who are all for making this community the best that it could possibly be, then we open the door for us to have more jobs and opportunities that could possibly be right here. And you don't have to go hours away to have a great opportunity. Like, how big and how powerful would that be for us as a community? So, like, I think a lot about that when I make the decisions that I make with RISE, and definitely when I think about Abby and I think about the person who I would like her to become. I want her to really be proud of home, but know and be exposed to the world, and be able to compete with anybody on a global level. And I think that that's key, and I think that is great for you all, and I'm glad to hear that you are incorporating it. I personally, for me, I just did not learn enough about the greatness of our community until I became an adult and start researching a lot of it on my own for tours that we were doing with other individuals and things that I was doing with my students as a teacher. But in general, I just did not get that exposure in the school that I probably should have gotten, and not because my teachers didn't know it or not because they, did not see the value in our community. I don't even think that was it. I think they were so caught up in teaching us what was in the curriculum and what was written on that pacing guide that they just didn't draw that connection to our great community. And being in a 30-mile radius, we have so much heritage when it comes to the blues, the civil rights movement, agriculture, and just everything.
So much.
And we're right in the heart of it. So being able to do the cross-curricular connection and to really see how many museums and places that are and a lot of it's free to our citizens and people who are from this community. So I think that that's huge, and I think that's a great place where we as a community can say that we can do something, right? Even if it's just learning more about it ourselves, and as parents and community members telling our children that this place is valuable, you're valuable, and your life and all that you can contribute is just so valuable. So I'm so glad to hear that you're doing that at Clarksdale Collegiate. Anything else that you just want to share that you think is another example of your high quality?
So, it kind of goes off of what we were talking about as far as seeing and bringing in some of the greatness that's in our community into the school. So one way that we're approaching literacy, I would say, is an example of the high quality piece that we want to talk about. So we believe that, first of all, and most schools are doing this, is just high quality, explicit phonics instruction. That's important, making sure that kids understand how the code works so that they can read and decode what's on that text. Another piece of that is just really understanding content at a high level. And so we are starting science and social studies for our kindergartners. We're not waiting until it's tested. We believe that we have to start early so that when students do understand the code and are able to read what's on the paper, they have something to connect it to. It's not foreign to them when they see it. And so understanding content is really important. And so one way that we bring it to life is through exposure to some of the things within our community. So we want to make sure that we're bringing in experts who can share about the river, about agriculture, about the civil rights movement, about kind of our role in some of that. And then we have talked about going to different places, museums, just going out to a farm, just seeing how it operates. And then also just having those types of experiences, I think, will make it sticky for our kids, so they really understand not just getting the high quality instruction in the classroom, but then also seeing it in life, in real life experience. Exactly. And then the third piece that we're putting together, so we've got the high quality instruction, the real world experiences through exposure in the community or bringing experts in. And the other piece would be the virtual experiences. And so we have a virtual reality lab that we're really excited about. Our kids especially are excited about, where we're giving them virtual experiences as well. So if we're doing a science unit around digestion, the child can actually shrink down and become a piece of food and travel through the body to really understand it. Actually be at a lunch counter and just see what that experience might have been like in the civil rights movement. Just different type of virtual experiences to make it, to bring it more to life for our scholars as well. And so really thinking about how do we teach that content really well, because a lot of things that you'll notice just with national data is you'll see kindergarten, first grade scores being really high, and then you'll see that dip in third and fourth grade. It's like, what happened? They were doing really well, and then what happened? And so I think part of it is just really thinking about, yes, we're teaching our kids how to decode what's on the text, but are we really teaching our children to understand what they're reading, to comprehend what they're reading? And so part of that, and a lot of research shows that giving students opportunity to vocabulary and the content is really a part of what will give students that experience or that the knowledge that they need in order to really read at a high level. And so we're serious about the content that we're teaching, the science and social studies that we're doing.
Okay. Well, I am excited. I'm excited about Clarksdale Collegiate. I'm excited about all the work that you guys are doing, and hopefully we can see the high quality, the virtual reality, the experiences,
Right.
all of that to expand throughout our school. So not to say that it just has to happen at one particular school. Those are great ideas for any school and any child, because our ultimate goal is to make our community better. And I think that that's something that we as a community can all be a part of. And so I know that there's a lot of politics surrounding public charter schools, and I'm looking at you guys out there in the world right now, and I'm speaking, and I just want us to take the politics out of the education of children piece, right? We want our children to be the best that they can possibly be. So whatever we need to do to make that happen, I'm just asking you all out there to let's do our part, whatever that is. And if we see something that's happening, whether that's in a public school, a private school, parochial school, public charter school, and it's going to benefit our children and our community, let's all get on board. Let's all get behind it, and let's make our community the best it can possibly be. Amanda, thank you so much for sharing tea time with us. I really appreciate you, and I'd love for you to share just where we can find out a little bit more about Clarksdale Collegiate, and where can we find you, and just share it with our audience out there.
So the best way to connect with Clarksdale Collegiate is online. So our website is clarksdalecollegiate.org. We will have open houses for the general community. If you have a child that you're interested in sending in the future that you want to know about, or if you're a community member just want to learn about what we're doing, we will have monthly open houses. Those will be hosted on our website. Also, social media is a great way to connect with us, Clarksdale Collegiate on Facebook. Thank you so much, Adrian. I really appreciate you being an advocate for our kids and for high quality education, regardless of what type of education that it is. Just high quality is the most important thing. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, thank you. And thank you all for hanging with us during tea time, where we always want to have a great conversation about education. Our ultimate goal is always to make the Mississippi Delta rise. So please follow us and learn more about our organization on all the social media outlets, but definitely on our website at risems.org. Thanks again. Please tune in and hear more about education in the Mississippi Delta and in the state of Mississippi. Thanks.